understand.
Yeah, the 78 Steelers. Johnny Unitas, Gino Marchetti, Raymond Berry, and that great 1959 Colts team. And the 1960 Eagles, led by Chuck Bednarik and Norm Van Brocklin. The West Division includes America's team, the 1977 Cowboys with Roger Staubach, Bill Walsh's 1984 49ers, the 1983 Raiders, then one of the great teams of the old AFL, the 63 Chargers, and finally, the 1951 Rams, perhaps the most dynamic scoring machine of all time with Bob Waterfield and Crazy Legs Hirsch. In the North, there's Bobby Lane's Detroit Lions, the dominating Raider team of 1976 with Stabler, Biletnikoff, Hendricks, and Upshaw. The 1985 Bears, Lombardi's Packers, this is a tough division, and the 1964 Cleveland Browns, led by Jim Brown. And finally, in the South Division, the Super Chiefs of Hank Stram, Rigo, Joe Theismann, and the 82 Redskins, the 72 Dolphins, the only undefeated and untied champion in NFL history, the Browns with Otto Graham, and the Cowboys and their legendary Doomsday defense. Now, these teams will compete against each other in a 6-week, 6-game season, and the outcome of each contest will be determined by a computer that'll evaluate all available team statistics, individual stats, tendency charts, scouting reports, heights, weights, speed, and skill of all players. And after digesting all these facts and information, the computer will be programmed to print out a play-by-play description of each game. Now, we'll select one game every week, and by utilizing the resources of our film library, we'll visualize key portions of this computer-created game. And during the broadcast of this game, we'll also have updates and highlights of some of the other games being played. Now, on the 7th week of the Dream season, the 4 divisional champions will meet in 2 playoff games. The 2 winners will then advance to the all-time, all-world, all-universe, ultimate championship game and battle for the right to be called the greatest football team of all time. Now, before we begin today's game, let's take a look at the teams that'll be competing in this Dream season.
Take an impossible journey through the corridors of time as 20 of the mightiest champions in NFL history wage a battle for pro football supremacy. This is the Dream Season, and the game's experts have definite ideas about the ultimate victor.
I'd like to go with the 59 Colt team. Plus, I think Unitas is something very special. I thought their defense was dominant, and yet when you're up to this level of greatness, all 20 of them have a very legitimate shot.
I think any team that you'd have to pick to win it all would have to include Bobby Lane, the 1953 Detroit Lions. When Bobby Lane was on the field, I think he invented the 2-minute drill by accident. I think he probably sobered up at the end of the 3rd quarter, and this allowed him to really move the ball at the end of the game.
Joe Montana is the modern master of the 2-minute drill. But will the resourceful offense of the San Francisco 49ers outscore the relentless attack of the 1955 Cleveland Browns? Otto Graham, Lou Groza, and Dante Lavelli were among the many weapons at the command of legendary head coach Paul Brown.
Well, I don't deny that we had great players. We also had a tremendous spirit and feeling for one another.
The Green Bay Packers were also united by spirit, and they were ignited by courageous defense. Could the Packers' famed power sweep outgain the straight-ahead running power of the undefeated, untied Miami Dolphins?
The 72 Dolphins had some great players. They had a lot of smart football players, very, very disciplined coaching, very disciplined players. Everybody was in the right place at the right time. They didn't make the big mistakes. They probably got more out of their abilities than any team I've seen.
Could Miami's no-name defense stop the glittering names that put a winning loss on the 1951 Los Angeles Rams? Behind Bob Waterfield, Tom Fears, and Crazy Legs Hirsch, this team scored touchdowns at a frantic tempo. But can the Rams keep pace with another high-scoring squad, the 1977 Dallas Cowboys? The differences among these 20 great teams are certain to create differences of opinion as to who would claim the championship of this dream season.
Well, I think the 1977 Dallas Cowboy team could be the favorite to win it all.
The 76 Raiders. You know, I'm biased, but when I start to analyze the great balance, tremendous defensive football team, big, strong front seven, superb secondary, the best four secondary guys that I can remember ever playing in the Super Bowl as a unit.
Brute force was also the defensive trademark of the 1969 Kansas City Chiefs. And the dominating defense of the 1986 New York Giants, led by Lawrence Taylor, is likely to create nightmares for their dream season foes.
I think the 86 Giants would stack up pretty well against anybody if you go all the way back to 51 Rams. As I think back of all those teams, because of the style of play, which is obviously very different now, I think the way they played in 1986 when they beat Denver in the Super Bowl, I think any of those teams would be hard-pressed to have beaten the Giants.
But in a dream season, anything is possible. Joe Namath's rifle arm gives the Jets plenty of ammunition, but Namath may be outranked by Captain Comeback. Dream season is Roger Staubach getting another chance to work miracles for the 1971 Cowboys. Dream season is Marcus Allen once again gliding through space as the 1983 Raiders ascend to glory. It is the immortal Dutchman, Norm Van Brocklin, reliving his finest season as the quarterback of the 1960 Eagles. It is powerful personalities and colorful characters like John Riggins of the 1982 Washington Redskins. Dream season is Riggins on the run and the 1985 Chicago Bears on the rampage. The Bears, with one of the most devastating defenses ever assembled, could create a path of destruction that leads them all the way to the dream season final.
I think the final is going to beat the Bears of a few years ago against Pittsburgh from the 70s. Those two teams, they were the two best teams I've seen since 1960, and I've seen all the teams in pro football.
If I had to make a wager, I think I'd wager on Chuck Noll's 78 Pittsburgh Steelers. They were so dominating in so many aspects of the game.
Can the 1978 Steelers once again forge a champion's crown from the iron will of their steel curtain defense and the golden arm of Terry Bradshaw?
I think I'd put them even above the great Raider teams, the 49ers. Although, gosh, let's face it, we'd all pay money to see any of them play one of the others.
The legends of the past meet the larger-than-life heroes of the present in a realm where fantasy becomes fact and myth becomes reality. This is a once-in-a-lifetime experience that can only happen once upon a dream season.
Those are the teams you'll be seeing. So, for those of you who are old enough to remember, for those young enough to believe, and for everyone who will dare to let his imagination run free, stay tuned and join Merrill Reese and I for the dream season.
Boys of 1977. Mike Ditka's fearsome Bears, 1985 world champions. They'll meet today in week 1 of the dream season. NFL Dream Season, brought to you by Chrysler. Chrysler believes a luxury car should be a great driving car. At Chrysler, we're driving to be the best. Hello, everybody. I'm Merrill Reese. we have what should be a tremendous game. The 85 Bears won 18 of 19 games, while the 77 Cowboys were 15-2. Both were exceptional in all phases of the game. Handling the historical analysis is Steve Sable. Steve, two teams from different decades with very distinctive styles.
That's right, Merrill, the 1977 Cowboys. They were the Romans of pro football. Triumphant, imperial. They beat you with this superior aloofness, like they'd all been born in some great palace somewhere, and it wasn't worth considering that they could ever lose. Now the 1985 Bears, totally different. A motley, robust collection of cutthroats and cut-ups who terrorized the NFL with the greatest collection of defensive talent since the old Steel Curtain teams at Pittsburgh. And Merrill, that football ugly word, finesse, well, that's never been used to describe this team.
In 1985, Chicago's Soldier Field was no place for the faint of heart. Ferocious fighters ruled the turf, all sharing the same rabid appetite for the ball carrier.
Go one!
It's like a pack of wild dogs. You know, if one of them's mean, they're all going to be mean.
The 85 Bears were built around a defense called the 46, where 8 or more men set up at the line of scrimmage. Dent, Singletary, Wilson, Hampton, and Marshall. All helped the Bears field the NFL's #1 defense in 1985. But ironically, it was the name of a rookie defensive lineman that rang out the loudest.
Refrigerator, Perry, he's my main man. If he can get us to the Super Bowl, nobody can.
As a 310-pound defensive tackle, William the Refrigerator Perry may have been somewhat of an oddity. But it was as the world's heaviest fullback that he truly grew into legend.
More head to the right side. Hand off to Perry. Crashes the right side.
The Refrigerator's first NFL touchdown came in front of a Monday night national television audience and helped turn this questionable first-round draft choice into an American folk hero.
Look at William Perry doing the high five.
But the fridge wasn't the lone attraction in a circus full of performing bears. Chicago fielded the most colorful cast of champions of the modern era. And though the personality of the 85 Bears was a bit unstable, the team's heart was as strong as ever. In his 11th season with the Bears, Walter Payton rushed for more than 1,500 yards and became the guiding light toward a title.
Whatever we got on our minds, get rid of it, think football. One thing, 60 minutes. Am I right?
After finishing a 15-1 regular season, Chicago put on the most dominant postseason display in NFL history. The Rampage Bears became the two straight playoff opponents on their way to the Super Bowl. And in Super Bowl 20, the Bears crushed New England for the greatest margin of victory in Super Bowl history. The Bears of 1985, one of football's greatest and most memorable champions of all time.
We'll be back with a look at the 1977 Cowboys right after this. Youngest team to ever win a Super Bowl. That's not the case with Dallas.
Well, Dallas is a more mature, settled squad, Merrill. This team is Tom Landry's masterpiece. The flex defense, totally different in theory and execution from Buddy Ryan's 46 defense, but just as effective. And on offense, we'll see the shifting spectrum of multiple sets and formations with players in motion in all directions and guided by one of the most inspirational competitors the game has ever known.
They were sleek, streamlined, a fine-tuned football machine. Yet the 1977 Dallas Cowboys never could have operated without their most prized component, quarterback Roger Staubach.
Well, Roger's contribution was always there in any game that he ever played for us. He was a great leader and a great competitor. He just cannot be defeated. Roger cannot be defeated on a football field.
Well, the Cowboys need a miracle, as we said. 2nd and 10. Cowboys from the 50. Again, Staubach has him in the shotgun formation. Roger takes the snap, pumps it once. He's going long. Down the near sideline for Drew Pearson. Pearson makes the catch at the 5. Touchdown!
Staubach's Hail Mary pass to Drew Pearson in 1975 was just one example of the miraculous escapes he orchestrated throughout his career.
I was always confident because I was ready. I mean, I prepared, and, you know, we lost some games, we lost some tough situations, but I felt the heck. I put everything I could into it.
In 1977, Staubach and the offense were blessed with an added burst of energy.
The handoff goes to Dorsett, Dents, and the secondary, and heads left. The 30 comes right. To the 50, to the 40. He's going to score an 84-yard touchdown. Tony Dorsett.
With Staubach and rookie Heisman Trophy winner Tony Dorsett, the well-rounded Cowboys boasted the NFL's #1 ranked offense to go with their top-ranked defense.
We just had the right mixture of players with experience and youth, and a lot of talent in every position.
The defense was known as Doomsday. Angry waves crashing against ball carriers. Gale force winds uprooting quarterbacks.
Our 77 football team was one which his strength was up front. It was in our defensive line, which was probably the best line that we had with the Cowboys at any time. Randy White was at his top playing speed. Harvey Martin was still going strong. Ed Jones was. So we had a very strong pass-rushing football team.
Dallas crushed Denver with 5 sacks in Super Bowl 12 as the Cowboys completed their championship season with a 27-10 victory. Some may consider the 1977 Dallas Cowboys more machine than men, but no machine had the heart of this champion.
Just the key. Looks can be seen.
Cowboys. We have some fascinating matchups. McMahon and Peyton against the Doomsday defense. Steve, what about the problems this Bears defense is going to pose for Roger Staubach?
Well, Merle, the Bears' defensive theory is that if you can pick out the right receiver and hit him in 2 seconds, great, because that's all the time you're going to get. So Staubach will have to make the right read and make it quickly. And you don't beat the Bears by methodically cutting through them. It takes big plays. And if Staubach can deliver those big plays, the Cowboys will win, because I think the Doomsday defense can hold down Chicago's offense. That's how I look at it. Here's how the experts see it.
When I think of the 77 Cowboys and the 85 Bears, I think of the Cowboy club being more of a finesse football team, a big play team with Roger Staubach and him somehow making a big play. The Bears, on the other hand, were an up-yours football team. I mean, it was, here we come, and we dare you to stop us. Anytime I see a finesse team playing a physical team, when the physical team has the athletes that the Bears have, I just see them winning the game. I think the 85 Bears were one of the great football teams I ever saw.
Oh, I don't think there'd be any question that we'd win. Defense would win. I don't, you know, when you have a team like we had with the confidence and thing that we played with, they were cocky, arrogant, the same type of people I want playing for me in Philadelphia, because I think those people are people who win. People I want playing for me in Philadelphia, because I think those people are people who win.
The 85 Bears are devastating against the pass and even more destructive against the run. So how does Cowboy head coach Tom Landry plan on attacking this wrecking crew?
You don't spend a lot of time running at it, especially the outside linebackers. because they really are tough. What you'd do is you'd keep them just honest, keep them looking for the run, but you would attack their secondary. With a Roger Staubach and the type of receivers that we had at that time, we would have gone to the air against them.
I think going in this particular game, we're really going to have to think smart. We're going to have to be on our P's and Q's because Roger does such a great job at taking advantage of the errors that you make. If we can just get in our pass lanes, our rush lanes or whatever, and at the same time watch for any type of jaws or screen, they're notable for that screen play, especially that fadeaway screen. I think we really have to play smart. If we concentrate on doing that, and I think we'll definitely out-hit them. And I think if we can just continue to play smart, we're in good shape.
They put a lot of pressure on you with the blitzes and that they would come with you, and we would have an opportunity to hurt them with a guy like Drew Pearson, who does a great job of beating bump and run, a big target that could run the go routes very well, and Roger threw those routes very well. That would have to be a big part of our attack because they gave you a lot of opportunities, but they were betting that they could get to you before you could get rid of the football.
As far as their wide receivers, I'm not really worried about them because I think that we have corners who can cover them, and Drew's going to always make the tough catch. But I think we can, pound these guys and make our impression on them. But when you have Roger Staubach who can scramble, that always causes problems for your defense. So you have to make sure that Hamp and Richard Dent keep contained on this guy the whole game. And they like to roll out, so we're going to have to put some pressure from the outside with Otis. So we're going to be blitzing them because we have a lot of confidence. Roger is going to get hit, and we're going to put pressure. We're going to go after him. We're going to play confidently, and I just think that we have better athletes.
Tom Landry's business-like Cowboys against Mike Ditka's back alley Bears. Ironically, Ditka coached for both of these championship teams and provides a unique insight into today's game.
It'd been a war. It probably would have been a game that would have ended up somewhere around 24-21, maybe 28-24, something like that. It wouldn't matter to me who won it, but we'll give this one to Tom. We'll say the Cowboys would have beat us.
Well, Merrill, what do you think? Ditka picks the Cowboys to win.
A bit unusual, Steve, but of course he was an assistant on that 77 Cowboys team, and maybe now he is going through the trepidations that a head coach feels because he knows every little deficiency about his own team. We'll return with some more opinions and previews of other games to be played in the first week of this dream season. It's being played around the league on this first weekend of the dream season. Before our featured game kicks off, here's a preview of some of those other games being played today.
One of today's most talked about matchups has Jim Brown and the 64 Cleveland Browns going against Lawrence Taylor and the 86 New York Giants. Jim Brown led the NFL in rushing in 1964. And though he is arguably the greatest running back of all time, some feel he won't have enough support today against the much bigger, stronger Giants of the modern era.
A running back doesn't do it on his own, so Jimmy Brown would be fine if his offensive line at that time could block against the 1986 Giants, but I don't think they would even come close to doing.
The 86 Giants should be well prepared for Jim Brown, as number 56, Lawrence Taylor and company, ranked #1 against the run.
We did have to contend with a number of great running backs during the course of that year. None of those backs were ever able to get over the 100-yard barrier. Now, Jim Brown was a rare commodity in football, but historically, I think when our group of defensive players set the goal, well, this guy isn't going to do to us what he's been doing to other people, 100% of the time they accomplish that goal.
Not only will one of football's greatest runners be tested today, but one of the game's greatest passers will also face a difficult challenge. Johnny Unitas and the 1959 Baltimore Colts will be throwing into one of football's toughest zone defenses, that of the perfect 1972 Dolphins. Meanwhile, two of the Crimson Tide's finest will duel each other when the 68 Jets, led by Joe Namath, go against the 76 Raiders and Ken Stabler in a battle of former Alabama quarterbacks. Raiders owner Al Davis will have interest in another game as well, as his 1983 team will also be in action. Marcus Allen's performance in Super Bowl XVIII helped lead the '83 Raiders to a championship. But today, Allen will hope to avoid running into a wall of steel as he tries his luck against the impenetrable 78 Pittsburgh Steelers. Overall, 20 of football's greatest champions take on a unique challenge today as Week 1 of the Dream Season kicks off.
We'll have highlights and scores of those games at halftime. Right now, let's go down to the field for today's starting lineups. And here's Roger Staubach, certainly a key figure in today's game. Now here's the rest of the starting lineup on offense.
This unit led the NFL in yards gained, and Staubach had the lowest interception rate of any quarterback in the league.
There's Buddy Ryan, the Bears defensive coordinator and one of the most respected defensive minds in the NFL.
Here's the leader of that defense, Mike Singletary. You know, in a sense, the Bears defense is like the Cowboys offense. They try to confuse you with a lot of different alignments.
With 8 All-Pros in there, no matter how they line up, they're going to be tough. There's McMahon. What a contrast between he and Staubach.
The only thing they have in common is that they sound the same when they eat potato chips.
That's about it. And no laughing matter. Here is that doomsday defense.
Dallas not only gained the most yards in 1977, they also permitted the fewest. And only one other champion ever achieved that double, the Dolphins in 1972.
Kickoff is just moments away, and many questions are about to be answered when we return.
Well, what is your perception of life?
Efren Herrera about to kick off. He approaches the football, and the dream season is underway. It's high and end over end. It's taken by Willie Gault at about the 9. He's up across the 15, the 20, and Willie Gault is brought down.
Now Jim McMahon's going to get his first look at the doomsday defense. And Merrill, I think he's going to be surprised at the size of this Cowboys front line. Harvey Martin, 79, Ed Jones, Jethro Pugh, all those guys are over 6'6".
That's why they led the NFC in sacks. Harvey Martin, Steve, had 23 of them himself.
I think McMahon, because of his ability to throw on the run, is going to be a stimulating opponent for the entire Dallas defense, especially the safeties, Cliff Harris, number 43, and Charlie Waters, number 41.
How's this for a wrinkle as he opens in a shotgun and takes the snap? He surveys the field, begins to run up the middle. McMahon across the 30, forward to the 35-yard line. Jim McMahon carrying the ball in the very first play.
General Robert E. Lee once described intelligence as simply a quickness in seeing things as they are. And by that definition, Jim McMahon is extremely intelligent because he's very quick at recognizing field situations and reading defenses.
2nd and 1 for the Bears. McMahon gives to Payton, who cuts to the outside. Now he cuts back across the grain, plunges up the middle. First down, Walter Payton, and he had plenty of yards to spare. Walter Payton, that already the crowd is prevailing on the Dallas defense to tighten here in the first quarter.
Walter Payton cuts through the Dallas defense for 21 yards. Then 4 plays later, McMahon locates fullback Matt Suhey in the middle of the Cowboy secondary as the Bears' opening drive reaches the Dallas 16.
First and 10 for the Bears at the Cowboys 16. Cowboys defense has been bending. 7:03 remaining here in a scoreless first quarter.
Yellow 44.
McMahon is back. He's looking. He's starting to roll. He's starting to run across the 10, across the 5. McMahon in for a touchdown. So the Bears break the ice. McMahon breaks the ball. And he's lucky if he doesn't break his head right there.
You know, the Bears offense consists basically of a meat and potatoes running game. But you've just seen the spice in that system. And it's Jim McMahon's ability to think on his feet and salvage broken plays.
7-0 Chicago here in the first quarter.
Salvage broken plays.
7-0 Chicago here in the first quarter.
We're now about to witness a fascinating confrontation. The 1985 Bears defense will meet one of the NFL's legendary heroes, Roger Staubach. The Galahad of the gridiron meets the modern monsters of the Midway. It could only happen in a dream season.
And Staubach about to get a look at this Bears defense for the first time. William Perry and Richard Dent and Dan Hampton and Steve McMichael.
Brad, 28!
First and 10 for the Cowboys.
Brad, 28!
Staubach takes the snap. He's back. He's looking. Still looking. He's being hit. And down goes Roger Staubach as we have the game's first sack. And William Perry, the man who reached it.
Legend of the 1970s is sacked by a folk hero of the 80s. Of course, William Perry has just tasted fame. Roger Staubach ate it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And a vital part of Roger's menu today will be wide receiver Drew Pearson, number 88. Because the most exposed and vulnerable area of the Bears' 46 defense is in the secondary at the corners.
Let's see if Staubach can exploit it right here. Roger gives off to Dorsett, tries to get to the outside. He's not going to go. Bears hem him in and drop him in his tracks.
We've just seen another great example of what the Bears defense is designed to do. Penetrate into that offensive backfield. And Tom Landry's first two plays have been wrecked by Buddy Ryan's 46 defense.
All the moves in the world aren't going to help if you don't have the blocking, and the Bears penetrated right there. 3rd and long for the Cowboys as Staubach takes him to the line of scrimmage. Slips it off to Dorsett. Dorsett cuts to the outside. Dorsett with good yardage crosses the 40 and has a first down at the 41.
To neutralize Chicago's penetrating rush, Staubach employs a succession of rollout passes, then mixes in a delayed trap to Tony Dorsett, who glides across midfield into Bear territory.
Cowboys are moving the ball well for the first time today. They have a 2nd and 5. They have the ball on the Bears' 46. Chicago still leading 7-0. Staubach going with 3 wide receivers. Staubach takes his drop. He's looking. He's going deep down the middle. Tony Hill's open. He has it for a touchdown. Touchdown, Tony Hill. Touchdown, Dallas.
Well, that's how you beat the 46 defense. It's simply an 8-man front, and it creates a mathematical mismatch at the line of scrimmage. But as you just saw, it often leaves mismatches in the secondary. And on that touchdown pass, Dallas used 3 wide receivers. And if you remember, that's the same tactic the Miami Dolphins used in 1985 to hand these Bears their only loss of the year.
Well, the Cowboys moved it well, and for the first time today, they did manage to kick those Bears around a little bit. We're tied at 7 apiece.
In the second quarter, the Bears direct their attack at number 53, middle linebacker Bob Brunig, the most inexperienced member of the Cowboys linebacker corps. McMahon sends Walter Payton straight into the center of the Dallas Doomsday defense for repeated gains. Then McMahon punctures the middle of the Dallas secondary with a pass to Matsui, who carries deep into Cowboy territory.
1st and 10, the Bears at the Dallas 19. Bears moving the ball effectively right here. McMahon gives to Payton. Payton heads for the flag. He's at the 15. He's at the 10. He's at the 5. He's in. Payton just gets into the end zone, and the Bears take the lead. Bears have run effectively against a Dallas defense designed to shut down the run.
The Dallas flex defense is very tough to run on, Merle. It's very complex, but you don't beat alignments. You beat people, and that's why the Bears are leading. They're dominating the individual matchups at the line of scrimmage, and we'll be back right after this.
Chrysler. This action profile is from the Pro Set Collection, the official football cards of the National Football League.
Merrill, you remember Carl Sandburg's description of Chicago?
Something about being coarse, strong, cutting, a city of big shoulders?
Right. You know, that description fits Buddy Ryan's defense. They play the game the way Al Capone ran the loop. And whatever Tom Landry's got planned, it's going to be difficult to execute because the Bears' defense is at its best when Chicago is ahead.
Led by safety Gary Fensick, number 45, and linebacker Mike Singletary, number 50. The Bears converge on Tony Dorsett like wolves on a hunt. Chicago stifles the Dallas running game. Then on Dallas's next possession, Otis Wilson, number 55, sacks and stuns Roger Staubach with a bone-jarring blitz. Dazed and confused, Dallas falls further behind the Bears when Kevin Butler kicks a 38-yard field goal to give Chicago a 10-point lead.
And the complexity and the intensity of this defense has caught the Cowboys off guard.
Well, trying to deal with it both mentally and physically has exhausted Roger Staubach to the point where he's functioning only in second gear. And the Bears' defense is built on pressure. And if the Cowboys succumb to that pressure, they're dead.
It's 17-7 Bears, 3:35 remaining in the first half. Cowboys have a 2nd and 10 on their own 22. Let's see what Staubach comes up with right here. He's back. He's going with play action. He wheels, he looks, he fires over the middle, intercepted! Intercepted by Mike Richardson, and he's going to take it in. Richardson raises it to the sky and scores for the Bears. Bears defense scores something Buddy Ryan takes great pride in. And so, the dream season has turned into a nightmare for the Cowboys.
According to our computer, in this second quarter, the Bears have held the Cowboys to -2 yards total offense. Woo!
Landry and Staubach holding a sideline meeting. Both with plenty of poise. Neither about to panic, but both fully aware of the seriousness of this situation. The Cowboys trail the Bears 24-7. Staubach has to put more points on the board and quickly.
Suddenly, the Dallas Cowboys begin to show flashes of the brilliance that had lit up scoreboards throughout the 1977 season. To offset the Bears' rush, Dallas calls more plays from the shotgun formation, which gives the versatile Roger Staubach more space and time to pass, improvise, and scramble.
Staubach paying a price, but he's starting to find ways to get the job done.
How'd you like to be a waiter and bring Mike Ditka his sandwich on white when he asked for whole wheat?
No, thank you.
How'd you like to wear that sandwich, pal, huh?
That would be the case. Final minute of action here in the first half. 3rd and 1. The ball at the 18. Give to Newhouse. Newhouse bangs into Golden. Richards stays on his feet and backs his way forward for the first down.
But I think the Cowboys have acclimated themselves to the accelerated tempo of the Bears defense, and they're like a fighter that survived a battering on the ropes, and they're like a fighter that survived a battering on the ropes, and now he's back in the center of the ring, clear-eyed, dancing, feinting, and flicking jabs.
Can the Cowboys score again before the half? The ball just outside the 5. Bears almost jump off sides. Staubach pitches to Dorsett. Dorsett cuts back. Now heads for the corner. Dorsett rides in for a touchdown. And the Cowboys tighten the gap.
Let's look at this play again, Merrill. Watch it on our reverse angle replay. Watch Robert Newhouse, number 44. His block on Gary Fensick, number 45, clears out the last obstacle for Dorsett. That drive was a perfect demonstration of the multiple talents of the Cowboys. And just as important as the score itself, as the first half comes to a close here, is the fact that the Cowboys proved that they could move the ball in Chicago and that the vital organs of their offense are still functioning.
But the Bears are still in Fat City, leading the Cowboys 24-14. Stay tuned for scores and highlights at halftime.
John Elway.
Texas Stadium, it's halftime, and the 85 Bears lead the 77 Cowboys 24-14. For the most part, the Bears' defense has lived up to its dominating reputation. But Dallas has stayed alive. They've stayed in this game with some big plays. Steve, your thoughts?
Well, Merrill, up until the last scoring drive in the closing seconds of the first half, the Dallas offense has been stymied by that great Bear defense, and the Bears seem quicker, and they're beating Dallas to the point of attack. But remember, what made the Dallas players world champions is how they react to losing. They won't stay down.
Kind of like Dracula.
That's right. When you pound them, you better pound them good. Otherwise, when morning comes, they'll still be alive and ready to go for your throat.
All right, should be some second half. Right now, let's go to Chris Berman, who will have the highlights of other key games on this first week of the Dream season.
Halftime highlights brought to you by Levi's Dockers. If you're not wearing Dockers, you're just wearing pants. And by Kelly Tires. Kelly, a good deal on a great tire. All right, here we go. Let's quickly head out to L.A., where the 83 Raiders are in a real fight with the Steelers. And we mean a real fight. The 1983 Raiders, Lyle Alzado, Howie Long and company, trying to corral the 1978 Pittsburgh Steelers with the steel curtain defense of Lambert and Green. Jim Plunkett hands off to number 32, Marcus Allen. Skirts around the right side, makes a move on Donnie Shell. Robin Cole is after him, but look at him go. He could go all the way. Shell, not even the linesman can catch him. Touchdown. The Raiders lead at 7-0. Then Plunkett looking deep as he has so many times to Cliff Branch. He turns Mel Blount the wrong way. Touchdown. 14-0 Raiders. You think number 47 is upset Mel Blount? Watch him take it out on Branch later on. And so, you know what's going to happen. Howie Long, Jack Lambert, two of the meanest. Long runs on the field. Lambert pokes him in the eye. Finally, Greenwood pulls him apart. The referees are trying to sort it all out. What's going to happen? Jack Lambert says his eye is okay. Archie Reese says, Howie, calm down. Alzado, what's he going to do? Yeah, he's pointing some fingers, as you might know. Bradshaw says, hey, keep Howie Long away from me. Howie, oh, I didn't say anything. What are you talking about? Lester Hayes says, we're going to get you, Lambert. Chuck Noll says, wait a minute, referee. But Jack Lambert's back out on the field. The fans cannot believe it. Another fight. Long and Lambert going at it, the two behemoths. Meanwhile, on the Raiders' sidelines, once they get things sorted out, they're pointing fingers to Henry Lawrence trying to stop everything. Rod Martin says, Lambert, you are gone. And so is Howie Long. Gives the official, whoa, a little bump. Watch it, Howie. Jack Lambert annoyed. No one near him on the sideline. 14-3 Raiders. Howie and Captain Jack. Think they're not serious about the Dream season? Now, our color cameras have been spread a bit thin, so we have to bring you the Packer-Eagle game in black and white, but there's no need to adjust your set. Norm Van Brocklin, the 1960 Eagles. Bart Starr, the 1966 Packers, facing off. Number 15, looks for veteran wide receiver Max McGee. Out to 5 o'clock in the morning the night before the game, but still puts the move on Tom Brookshire. Deep into Philadelphia territory. McGee looking to go all the way, but the only man in the Dream season playing both ways. Number 60, Chuck Bednarik. Eventually downfield, making the tackle. Don Chandler would later kick a field goal. The Packers lead at 3-0. Vince Lombardi, remember 1960, as Packers lost to these 60 Eagles. He wants revenge. Warning has scored a touchdown. Jim Taylor scores twice. Following, Fuzzy Thurston into the end zone. 24-3 Pack at the half. Wait a minute, this just in. I'm told Rocky Bleier has just scored a touchdown for the Steelers. They trail the Raiders at the half now, only 14-10. Elsewhere, 2 touchdowns by Roger Craig have sparked the Niners to a 21-3 lead over the 51 Rams. Bob Waterfield with the field goal for L.A. But next, the first of many Dream matchups you'll be seeing throughout this Dream season as the great Jim Brown faces Lawrence Taylor and the 86 Giants. Jim Brown of the '64 Cleveland Browns, remembering his battles with Sam Huff, now has to try to face the new Giant linebacker, Lawrence Taylor. He's ready for number 32. 4th and 1, first quarter. The Browns gambling, the mathematician Frank Ryan. Where's he going to go? Taylor knows it's going to be number 32, who sweeps the right side. LT's on him. Stops him behind the line of scrimmage. The Giants take over on downs, and the fans elated. Taylor knows he made a big play. Jim Brown says, I'll have another chance. He was right in the second quarter. 4th and short again. This time Cleveland gambling behind Shafrath. Here's LT trying to stop Brown. He can't. Jim is all the way into the end zone for a touchdown. LT says, wow, that number 32 is tough. Jim Brown says, another day at the office. 10-0 Cleveland at the half. Alabama alum Kenny Stabler for the 76 Raiders against another Alabama alum, Joe Willie Namath of the 68 Jets. The teams meet at Shea Stadium. Namath going against the Raiders' tough defensive backs like Willie Brown and Jack Tatum. But he has number 13, Don Maynard, working against George Atkinson, number 43, beats him to the post pattern for the touchdown. The Jets and Coach Weeb Eubank happy because they own the 13-7 lead over their nemesis, the Raiders, at the half. Bob Greasy gets it out over Earl Morrow for Don Shula's 72 Dolphins. They're going against, boy, is Weeb Eubank a busy guy. His 59 Colts and number 19, Johnny Unitas. We put the AstroTurf back into the Orange Bowl, but Unitas can't run on it. Number 75, Manny Fernandez forces the fumble! But the Colts' Buzz Nutter falls on the ball, setting up a Steve Myra field goal. But here come the Dolphins. Greasy to his venerable tight end, Mark Fleming. Touchdown. 10-3 Dolphins at the half. Calvin Hill, the 1971 Cowboys, facing the tough defense of Bobby Bell and the 69 Chiefs. Tom Landry going with Craig Morton over Roger Staubach, gives to the silent man, Dwayne Thomas. He could go all the way. Splitting the Chiefs defense, Marsalis, Jim Lynch. None of them can catch him. Touchdown, Dwayne Thomas. And Jerry Mays with the boom, extra point. It's good, and the Cowboys lead at 7-0. The fastest human, Bob Hayes, in the longest play of our season to date. From their own 10, Morton to Hayes, outracing number 18, Emmett Thomas. He could go all the way. Dallas leads the Chiefs at the half, 17-6. Sid Gilman's Chargers have gotten touchdowns from Paul Lowe and Bambi, Lance Allward. They've jumped on the Lions 14-6. Finally, 2 scores and 90 yards by John Riggins have paced the Skins to a 24-13 lead over the 55 Browns, who even saw Lou the Toe Groza miss an extra point. So that's where we stand. You're all caught up. Back with the final scores after our feature game's second half.
It's been said halftime. The Bears lead the Cowboys 24-14. Steve, some of your thoughts?
Well, Merrill, at the end of the first half, Dallas proved that they could move the ball against the Bears' defense. Now, that puts pressure not only on Chicago's defense, but also on their offense, specifically Jim McMahon. And to win, I think the Bears need 2 more touchdowns. And, you know, they're not really a big play team, or they're not really a grinded-out team either. They're a team that relies on McMahon's spontaneity and his resourcefulness. And I think he could be the hero, or he could make the big mistake that blows it all.
Guess that's part of the territory that goes with being a quarterback in a pressure situation. Right now, let's go back to the field.
Yellow 41! Yellow 41!
On their first possession of the second half, the Bears sweep downfield in a splendid 60-yard drive. This pass from Suey to Tim Reitman is the drive's key play, and it sets up another field goal, and Chicago's lead grows to 27-14. 2 minutes later, the Bears have the ball again.
2nd and 10, the Bears on their own 34. McMahon floats it to Peyton. Peyton gets away from one man. Peyton stays on his feet, churning his knees, kicking forward. He fumbles the football. The football's loose. D.D. Lewis scoops it up. Lewis weaves his way downfield. D.D. Lewis with an awfully big play right there as the Cowboys come up with their first turnover of the day. And that was the first time the Bears passed the ball to Walter Payton.
There's the man whose tackle caused that fumble, Hollywood Henderson. In the disciplined Dallas system, he's probably the least consistent linebacker, but he often comes up with the big plays just like he did there. Consistent linebacker, but he often comes up with the big plays just like he did there.
Staubach up and under center. Quiets the crowd. He fakes inside. He looks over the middle. Complete to Billy Joe Dupree for the touchdown. Staubach to Dupree. And the Cowboys are right back in this thing.
We've just seen why Dallas won the Super Bowl in 1977. They capitalize on every scoring opportunity. They convert turnovers into touchdowns. And in the 1977 NFC Championship game against Minnesota, all 3 Dallas touchdowns came after fumble recoveries just like that.
And that big play was the Peyton fumble and the recovery and run by D.D. Lewis.
Following Dupree's touchdown, the third quarter lapses into a taut defensive struggle. The ball changes hands 4 times without a fumble or interception. Neither team can move the ball on the ground. Tony Dorsett is bottled up by the Bears, carrying the ball 5 times in the third quarter and gaining only 9 yards. As the final period begins, the Bears again call on Walter Payton to ignite their offense. But the Cowboys' ability to read and react instantly sends the NFL's most prolific ground gainer into reverse.
Let's go, Harvey! Come on, D, baby! Come on, D!
We're in the fourth quarter. Bears have a 3rd and 7. They're in Dallas territory. McMahon trying to rekindle the Chicago offense. The Cowboys go with the nickel defense. McMahon calling for the football. He's back. He's setting up. He's looking. He floats the football. Leaping interception by Charlie Waters. Waters picks it off. He's across the 35. Waters on his feet at the 40. Looking for room, and he is across the 45 and down at the 46-yard line.
There's an interesting pattern to the Bears' offense. At the start of the game, when all-out aggression and daring were required, McMahon and his offense were brilliant. But now, in the second half, when they're trying just to hold the lead, to sort of rein in the attack, they fumbled, been intercepted, and failed to move the ball on the Cowboys.
And conversely, the Cowboys have some momentum back. 10-10 remaining in the fourth quarter. The Cowboys trailing by 6 at 27-21.
No doubt about it, the Bears have lost the initiative. Now it's up to Roger Staubach and the Dallas offense to seize it.
Let's see what Staubach comes up with right here. He sets the offense. Dorsett and Newhouse, the running backs. Receivers split as Staubach gives it to Dorsett. Dorsett scrapes along the line of scrimmage, but he is hemmed in and dropped as William Perry sits on him. Nothing there for Dorsett.
The Cowboys' running game, as always, has been well conceived, but the Bears' defense with the refrigerator, Hampton, Dent, Singletary, they've been so alert and quick that Dallas just can't execute. Dorsett's stats in the second half look like a typographical error. 7 yards and 6 carries.
And he lost 3 yards right there. So the Cowboys have a second down and 13, and they have the ball on their own 44. Staubach retreats. He's looking downfield, floats it over the middle, complete to Preston Pearson. What a tough receiver he is out of the backfield. Pearson picks up a first down.
Now, by using quick developing pass patterns like that, Staubach can release the ball before people like William Perry and Richard Dent can get their hands on him. It takes the pressure off Staubach and puts it on the Bears secondary.
After a 32-yard reception by Drew Pearson, the Bears intensify their pass rush. But Staubach, throwing from the shotgun and keeping his backs in for extra protection, pierces the Chicago secondary. Even All-Pro linebacker Mike Singletary seems momentarily immobilized by Staubach's fast break offense. This screen pass to Robert Newhouse gives Dallas a 1st and 10 on the Chicago 7.
Cowboys have gained 50 yards since Charlie Waters' interception.
Oh, hold it. Newhouse looks hurt. He's very slow getting up. He might be injured.
I think he's all right, Steve. Looks like he just lost his shoe.
That's what that Bear defense will do to you.
Although that Bear defense has really been bending here in the fourth quarter.
You know, going against that defense, it's like playing with fire. Fire can burn your house down, but it can also cook your dinner, and it can keep you warm at night. And I think the key to controlling the fire, in this case the Bears defense, is understanding its nature and working within that nature to achieve what you want to achieve. Now, Staubach is handling the Bears like fire. He's being careful not to get burned by their blitzing linebackers and safeties while throwing into their undermanned secondary.
First and goal for the Cowboys at the Bears 7. Staubach back. Hayes looking. He begins to scramble. Staubach racing across the 5. He's across the 3. He bangs into a man at the 1 and falls into the end zone. The Cowboys can take the lead with the extra point.
Captain comeback, Roger Staubach. Boy, he can take that Dallas offense, put it behind his back, twist it around, and pull out something that doesn't show up in any computer printout or tendency chart.
Boy, the fans here are loving it as the Cowboys have made up a 17-point deficit, and now they are on top, 28-27.
You know what Sonny Jurgensen said once about Staubach? He said one reason why Staubach could make plays like that was because he never knew what a hangover felt like.
I don't think you could say the same thing about Jim McMahon, but nevertheless, he'll try to rally the Bears when we return. Lead for the first time today.
You know, now the focus of the game shifts from Roger Staubach to Jim McMahon, and we'll see if he can pump some life into a Bears offense that's been dormant for the entire second half.
Well, it'll be 1st and 10 for the Bears. The ball on their own 23. McMahon is looking. He's hit. He's hit. The ball comes loose. It's picked up by Brunig, and Brunig takes it in for a touchdown.
They're going to bring it back. Where he was in the grass, they're going to bring it back. No touchdown.
Oh, that is a lucky break for the Bears.
Well, maybe not. Look at this. McMahon's down. He could be hurt.
That would be a tough break. McMahon has had his injury problems. There's Walter Payton. If McMahon is out, he is going to have to carry more than his usual great load of the offense. McMahon leaving the field. Fuller is limbering up quickly on the sideline. So now the Bears, trailing by a point, are in trouble, and some of the big guys getting very upset.
Steve Fuller, number 4, is going to replace McMahon. He's going to come into the game, and he runs a passing game that avoids mistakes. He doesn't throw for many yards or many touchdowns, but he doesn't throw any interceptions either, and he rarely gets sacked.
Well, the safest bet might be just to give to Payton right here, and that's exactly what he does. He gives it off to Payton. Cowboys hit him, but Payton stays on his feet and gets just beyond the line of scrimmage.
Well, the Cowboys are going to be in their nickel defense again now. Randy Hughes comes in, and Dallas has a very mature secondary. In fact, 3 of them. Benny Barnes, number 31, Waters, and Harris have played all 4 secondary positions at one time or another during their careers.
It's 3rd down and 13. 4:05 remaining here in the fourth quarter. Fuller fakes to Suey. He's looking, pumping, firing. Open as Payton takes it at the 32, and down he goes. But the Bears connect with Payton, and they have a first down.
Well, with McMahon out, Payton becomes the centerpiece of the offense. And for the Doomsday defense, the assignment's clear and basic. Stop Payton, and we stop the Bears.
Walter Payton confronts both necessity and challenge and gives the Dallas Cowboys a dramatic demonstration of the talent and determination that set the truly great players apart from everyone else. Using running plays in situations that would normally call for passes, the Bears eat up the clock and the Cowboys. And Payton fans the competitive fires that have been dwindling inside the Bears since the first half.
Even with Even with McMahon out, the Bears have moved into scoring territory thanks to this man. Peyton has them down at the Cowboys 3.
You know, I once heard the drama critic John Simon say something that fits Peyton perfectly. He said, a great artist has the talent for imposing his authority, asserting his authority on a given field of work, saying, in effect, inside this field, you will defer to me. And Peyton has just demonstrated that talent.
On this drive, Peyton's gained 68 yards on 6 carries.
Well, look at this. Oh, look who's coming in now.
It's the refrigerator. Well, he's been successful on a couple of occasions this season.
They can't believe it.
Staubach and Golden Richards, they are incredulous. Look at the sight of Fridge standing next to Walter Payton in the backfield. Do they go to Perry? Here they go. Give us to Perry. He plows forward. He stopped. Steve, I don't think he got it.
Cowboys are going to call timeout right now.
They have stopped him just outside the goal line, and Staubach begins to warm up because he figures to be in store for one more drive, and Ditka puts Fuller back in with the play. 40 seconds left. 40 seconds to go in this game.
There could be tears in the eyes of Texas. Well, maybe not. Well, anyway, this could be the final nail in a coffin that Walter Payton has personally constructed over the last 4 minutes and 83 yards.
And it's Payton and Perry in the backfield again. Fuller goes up, over, in. Touchdown, Steve Fuller, and the Bears are back on top.
With only 34 seconds left, the Cowboys will have time probably to return the kickoff and run perhaps 2 or 3 plays. And they need a touchdown, Merrill. A field goal is just not enough now.
It's the Bears leading the Cowboys 34-28. What a game this has been. I don't know, perhaps the Bears just a little premature congratulating one another.
Well, Dallas might have lost the lead, but as long as there's this man and a few seconds to play, there's still hope.
Seconds to go. Fuller's 1-yard sneak has put the Bears ahead 34-28.
You know, Merrill, there's no statistic that measures poise, but that's what made this Dallas team great. In adversity and under pressure, they remain cool and collected. And because of that, in the closing seconds of big games like this, they often appeared charmed as well as talented.
Well, they're going to need some magic right here. There's the kickoff, high and end over end, and coming down to Butch Johnson. Johnson starts to his right, and he is not going to get far as he gets just across the 20, and the Cowboys have a long way to go.
They've got 75 yards to go, 24 seconds to do it. But Roger Staubach was born and made for moments like this. He brought the Dallas Cowboys from behind to win 23 times in the fourth quarter. 14 of them in the last 2 minutes.
And so often he has done it by going to this man. Drew Pearson, the very definition of a money receiver. Staubach back, faking a handoff. He's looking. He's loading up. He fires out on the flat to Pearson. Drew Pearson to the 25, to the 30. On his feet at the 35, 40, 45 midfield. Pearson down the sideline and finally knocked out of bounds. What a big play to Pearson. And there's still time left.
Well, not much, Merrill, and I think he stepped out at the 45 of the Bears. They're going to move it back. They're still got a long way to go.
9 seconds to go in this game. 9 seconds to go. Cowboys trailing by 6 at 34-28. As Staubach and the Dallas Brain Trust have a few final words.
I think they're going to go back with 3 wide receivers, Merrill.
I would think. It's pretty much Hail Mary time at this point. And seems to me the Cowboys have pulled that off more than a few times in the past. Heart-pumping time. 9:06 of the clock.
You got it tight.
Pearson split wide. Bears defense ready. Singletary set to charge. Hampton charges. This is it. Staubach is back. One more time.
There it goes.
He's firing deep downfield.
It's going to be
short.
It is knocked away. Mike Richardson brings it away. The Bears hang on. They survive. No miracles for Staubach and the Cowboys today as the Bears win it 34-28. We'll be back with the wrap-up right after this.
NFL Dream Season brought to you by Budweiser. Beat when aged for that clean, crisp taste. This was for you.
Don't forget this.
Certainly one matchup that lived up to its billing, and I guess, as we could have predicted, Steve, it was a game that went down to that final play.
Well, Merrill, to me, it wasn't what succeeded, but what did not succeed that shaped the pattern of this game. We had two of the most innovative and successful defenses in NFL history, and both of them gave up more points than we could have anticipated. And in the end, I think it was the Doomsday defense's inability to stop the Bears' running game, to stop Walter Payton, really, that determined the outcome.
Right now, let's go to Chris Berman for highlights and final scores of other games.
Final scores and highlights brought to you by Plymouth and the 9 most important words Plymouth knows. Welcome back. Let's get right to it. Week 1 final. While Dallas's comeback fell short in the game you watched, Bobby Lane's did not. 3 second-half touchdown passes, 2 to Cloyce Bonks did the trick. Down 14-6 at the half, Lane's Lions win it 27-17. The Skins kept on cruising. They rolled over the Browns 31-13. 140 yards by John Riggins. 3 Dexter Manley sacks of Otto Graham made Joe Gibbs very happy. Scoreless second half makes Bill Walsh a winner as well, 21-3. Now remember that Mr. Long and Mr. Lambert had been ejected earlier today? A row of lockers didn't fare well when Jack stormed in at halftime. The Raiders have not fared well ever since. Mean Joe Green and the Steelers down 14-10 to the Raiders. Jim Plunkett had a rough second half. Jack Ham sacked him. 3 Steeler sacks in the second half. Michael Haynes, the outstanding cornerback of the Raiders, had his handful because Terry Bradshaw had the arm working. Looking for number 82, John Stallworth, racing against Kenny Hill. Was it a touchdown? Let's go upstairs to the replay booth. And after further review, we have no idea. Replay inconclusive. Touchdown, the Steelers lead 17-14. Franco Harris adds a touchdown. The Steelers win 24-14. The Stork, an unhappy man. Remember Jerry Mays' extra points? Well, now he was kicking the Cowboys. The shift for Craig Morton's Cowboys, but Buck Buchanan, Curly Culp, Jerry Mays, Aaron Brown, they all dug in. 4 second-half sacks for the Chiefs. Hank Stram, wow, way to go, defense. Way to go, boys. Mike Garrett scored a touchdown to bring Kansas City within 17-13. Then, Len Dawson to Ed Podolak. Watch 45 Richmond Flowers stick his foot out right there. Everybody saw it except the referees. Hey, what do you mean? What do you mean? You didn't see that? What do you mean? But the Chiefs kept driving down the field. At the 2-minute warning, Leroy Jordan knew his club was up by 4. They could allow the field goal, not the touchdown. But Podolak, following the block by 76, Mo Mormon into the end zone for the touchdown. The Chiefs win at 20-17. Look at him go. Way to go, boys. Chiefs win. Jim Brown and company led the Giants 10-0 at the half, but they watched a tough second half. And Brown watched fellow Syracuse alum Joe Morris score a pair of touchdowns. The Giants scored 3 second-half touchdowns to win 21-13. Dick Modulewski said, should have stayed with the Giants because I could have been doused with Gatorade like Coach Bill Parcells. The Colts are 24-6 loser today. Johnny U was picked off twice by the Dolphin no-name defense. Mercury Morris's 2 touchdowns iced it for Miami. The big names came through in a big way for Lombardi as Hall of Famers Taylor, Horning, and Starr all scored. Eagles were bombed 38-10. Finally, we've saved the best for last, and so did Oakland's Ken Stabler. The Raiders down 27-14 in the fourth quarter. Larry Grantham tries to blitz, but Stabler finds Fred Biletnikoff instead for a touchdown. Raiders have pulled it within 6, 27-21. Madden signals, yes, it's a touchdown. 2-minute drill now. Raiders have the ball again. Madden and Stabler working the reps. Weeb working on a different thing. How about some rollies? It's a tough game. Stabler looking to his veteran tight end, Dave Casper. 3 times in this final drive, the Ghost made key catches. Joe Namath hoping his defense can stand tall. 16 seconds to go. Gene Upshaw the block. Mark Van Egan from Colgate, the touchdown. Ken Stabler pulls another one out of the fire. The Raiders beat the Jets 28-27. What an opener for the dream season. Touchdown! Ken Stabler pulls another one out of the fire. The Raiders beat the Jets 28-27. What an opener for the dream season. And for the Jets defenders like John Elliott and Al Atkinson, a game that slipped away. As they say with the snake, you're never out of time. But we are, that's it. Dream openers for some, nightmares for others. Some final thoughts from Stephen Merrill right after this.
You wanted as the 85 Bears defeated the 77 Cowboys 34-28. Our next feature game will be broadcast in 2 weeks on September the 17th. That matches the team of the 60s against the team of the 80s.
It's the iron will of the legendary Vince Lombardi against the wizardry of Bill Walsh. The 1984 49ers versus the 1966 Green Bay Packers.
Remember, that's 2 weeks from tonight. Join us again for another game that could only happen in a dream season. For Steve Sable, I'm Merrill Reese. Good night.
The computer software package that played the games and provided the results you've just seen was NFL Challenge by Exor Corporation. NFL Challenge can be found at better software dealers everywhere.